Hey, gang, I just want to say this. My eyes are turned towards Jeff Sims.
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, gang, DP here. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. And again, thank you to the everydayers who just settle in, get the content, share it, and communicate back and forth. I appreciate you down in the comments. You know, pro or con, whether you're for what I'm saying or against whatever I'm saying, I'm okay with it because I'm just here having a conversation. We're just putting things in the space and sharing the information that we do have. It's appreciated. So if you subscribe, thank you. If you have not, please do so now. I want to thank the folks from FanDuel Sports. Look, FanDuel Sportsbook, the app is clean. I spent some time on it for UFC just to kind of go through what they were offering, different prop bets that they had in place. And with the big card, it was there. FanDuel.com, again, the app was super easy to download, super easy to use. It's safe, it's secure. Go ahead and do it. And then there are perks. FanDuel.com/locked on if you want to join up and get busy, get busy in the work. Make every moment more. The best part of spring practice is new. The record is 0-0. No matter what happens Saturday, April 22nd, the Huskers will have an opportunity, the same and fair and equal opportunity as everybody else to have success in 2023. That's the beauty of it. And as much as people leaned away from the transfer portal and they frown and they make faces and they make noises and they complain, the transfer portal, the game's never been the same. Let me break this egg for you. Okay, let me break this egg for you. There's nothing that's going on in the transfer portal that hasn't always existed in collegiate sports. Nothing. The value of players isn't new. It's always existed. Players' ability, it's always existed. Coaches' responsibility, being accountable, it's always existed. Peripheral, external, community boosters who want to be around the program and their ability to affect the programs through power, influence, and resource has always existed. What's happened now is the student athletes now have the ability to be aware, be vocal, be present in choosing how they are represented and who gets to do so. Yes, the universities will make money, and yes, the student athletes will receive an education. But there are other values in play, and NIL has opened this door, and then transfer portal has really just turned the lights on. You know all the things that go on in the dark? Right? People get comfortable in the dark. Creatures get comfortable in the dark. And then the light gets turned on and they scatter if they're doing things that they aren't comfortable in doing or the things that they don't want people to know they're doing. The transfer portal is the light. The light's been turned on. And now you get to see coaches now have to be accountable to players. All the players. Coaches can't focus on the top tier players because those secondary guys, those guys who also have talent, who also have ability, who's also putting in work, they want the payoff as well. And so you've got to take care of those players. You've got to stay connected to those players, and you've got to re-recruit those players every day, all season long. But what the transfer portal allows now, more importantly, is the ability to change your program by using the resources that are not being used elsewhere. If you are a program that's not satisfied with your location, your elevation, Whatever that is, you have the opportunity and freedom. And now you've got a plan and you've got numbers to tell you, okay, I can go out and get better. I'm not good enough at the right tackle position. Okay, do you have talent in the building? Can you develop the talent and make it good enough? And if you really don't believe that you can reach that talent, you have the freedom and permission to let that talent go and then go and get talent that you feel like you can either develop or bring in who already formed, but it's just going to cost you a little bit more. Now, I had an interesting conversation with somebody on Wednesday about what does it mean? What does the transfer portal mean? Does it mean that coaches don't have to develop? Does it mean that players don't have to do everything a coach wants them or asks them to do? Or is this the equaling of the relationship? Is this the balancing of the relationship? Which side does the transfer portal make more powerful? And my answer was simple. The power of the transfer portal is transparency. That's when you know whether players are being treated, are they receiving what they want and need, and are coaches getting what they want and need? Are the players being accountable for what they promised and committed to? Are the coaches being accountable for what they committed and promised to? The transfer portal is the eraser. It is the whiteboard dry eraser, and it allows you to correct mistakes and change relationships and change value systems. The transfer portal is about value. What is it worth to play at a certain school? And what is it worth to have that player come to your university and be a part of the program? The first name that comes to mind when you talk Nebraska football and transfer portal this season, Jeff Sims. So when we come back to Locked On Huskers, we're going to talk about the quarterback from Georgia and what it all means. There are a lot of questions. That's the thing. There are a lot of questions. I don't have to have the answers, but we'll get to the right questions when we come back to Locked On. Hey, gang, welcome back to Locked On Huskers. And again, thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every day. And thank you for your everydayers. Greatly appreciate your second watch. Should be Locked On NFL Draft. And as we speed our way towards that, the experts have picked, they've kind of pigeonholed 64. That's the number of folks that will go in the first two rounds. And there's some interesting stories in there. Well, they'll detail those stories and break down those personal stories, those life stories for those 64. Locked On NFL Draft. You can find it on YouTube or however else you consume your daily podcasts. We were talking about the transfer portal and what it's done. And case 1A for Nebraska in the transfer portal this season is Jeff Sims. The quarterback out of Georgia Tech, again, started double-digit numbers of starts at Georgia Tech. If you had asked me a year ago who the starting quarterback for Nebraska would be in 2023, I would have loudly, quickly pronounced and announced Casey Thompson. My expectation was that he was going to be here and that he would be the guy. And we had seen enough in 2022 that we could ride with Casey Thompson. And I'm not sure if I speak for the fan base or not. I'm just speaking for me. I thought of all the positions that need consideration and need upgrading and need more power and strength, quarterback was not one of them. Except you have a new head coach. And Matt Rule has an idea of what he wants and expects at the quarterback position. You also have a new offensive coordinator, and Marcus Satterfield has exactly an idea in his head of what he wants and needs this quarterback position to be. Now, Casey Thompson to me, checks all the boxes for a great quarterback at the University of Nebraska. He checks the boxes. Again, did his thing. They got to win over Iowa, right? Like, come on, like that's got to count for something. It's got to count for something. But injuries. He gets injured, played through injury, came back, finished the season, and then had surgery and is rebuilding the arm and the space. Getting himself organized and getting himself ready and prepared. And then the transfer portal. Enter Jeff Sims, who is a starter. Jeff Sims was in control and in command of the Georgia Tech offense in the ACC. Played against great talent, played with some great talent. Well, somehow, some way, Jeff Sims gets in a conversation with Nebraska. Not going to speak to the chain of command and how that conversation happens and why it happens. But what we have to remember when we talk about the transfer portal is that one in means one out. And in a program where success has not been our friend lately, success has to be on the books as a high priority. And winning in 2023 should be at the top of the pyramid. It should be focus one. Priority one should be winning in 2023. And I ask you, Husker fans, if you only get to choose one of the two, because you only get to choose one of the two, there's only going to be one starting quarterback. Are you team Jeff Sims or are you team Casey Thompson? Because the other one that you choose is probably not going to be happy. They're probably not going to be satisfied. Oh, and by the way, choosing quarterback one makes it simple. Except, what do you do with Chubba Purdy, who started games a year ago and came in via the transfer portal with some accolades and some levels of success? What do you do with Logan Smothers, who was highly recruited and who has been loyal to the program and loyal to the school and who started games in the previous two seasons? Because all four of those quarterbacks sitting in a room, all four of them think of themselves as starters. All four of them have resume and reputation. Jeff Sims is the unknown factor in this here. We know Casey Thompson. Husker Nation is familiar. We know Chubba Purdy. We know Logan Smothers. What we don't know is what Jeff Sims looks like under Marcus Satterfield and Matt Rule at Nebraska. We don't know. We don't know what Chubba Purdy looks like under Marcus Satterfield at the University of Nebraska. We don't know. But I just want to plant the seed so we're aware and we're considerate. The transfer portal is a statement out loud in resource, time, and energy. I would absolutely say this, that I can't imagine a coach, a new coach, going and getting a starter from one program and bringing him into his program, his new program, without the comparison that this guy is the guy that I can go with, might go with, should go with. And then understanding that the transfer portal allows that Jeff Sims makes that decision. It also allows Chubba Purdy, Logan Smothers, and Casey Thompson to make that decision as well based on the decision made by the leadership at the University of Nebraska football program. I'm just going to point out, change is coming. Jeff Sims will be the eyes. That's where the eyes are going to be drawn to. because when he shows up at spring game, what he puts on display can either make the crowd his, he can win the crowd, or he can lose the crowd. My bet is that he wins the crowd. Style of play, level of talent, I think he wins the crowd. If he wins the crowd, what does that mean for Casey Thompson, Logan Smothers, and Chubba Purdy? That's not all the quarterbacks. We'll talk about those other two when we come back to Locked On Huskers. Hey, gang, thank you once again for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. And thank you to you everydayers who constantly stay with us and you subscribe, you get the content, and then you respond. It's greatly appreciated. I mean that. I appreciate it. Here's where I am with this. I like the numbers and the analytics behind sports, but can I say that FanDuel Sportsbook has figured out a way to make, like, I check in to make sure that, okay, Nebraska's win number hasn't changed, and I don't know if it changes in the spring, but this whole transfer portal talk, I've then pondered, is there a player that could come to Nebraska that could change the win plus minus number for Nebraska? And if a player leaves, can it change the one loss over under for Nebraska? Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Details there. Just to point out, I'm just going to leave that for you. That 6.5. Is there a position? Is there a player who could come in at a particular position at Nebraska that would change the over/under win-loss projection? Like another receiver, a 5-star receiver might do that. Stud left tackle, right tackle might do that, right? It might do that. You get another tight end. You could get a stud pass rusher. You could get stud in the middle. You can tell me in the comments, is there any position where a transfer portal player could come in and immediately change your thoughts on the number of wins this program will have? That's just for me. That's just for me. We're talking, again, Jeff Sims is the guy that I think the eyes will be drawn to because he's the most unknown of the bunch. Like we saw him at Georgia Tech, but we haven't seen him in this case. The eyes will be drawn. Also, we'll pay attention to Marcus Satterfield and the play calls and the schemes that are put out there. And again, I don't know what percentage of his offense he's going to show, but I would imagine that whatever the core key play for Nebraska football of 2023, we'll see it in high repetition. Whatever his thing is, whatever his play is that he loves the most and is the easiest for him to coach and he has the greatest level of understanding for, we should see that play the most. That should be a thing that you look at. And then to watch Jeff Sims run this offense and run that play and to see the results against Nebraska's best defensive group, it's important. We talked about Casey Thompson. We talked about Logan Smothers and Chubba Purdy. But there's two guys that we're familiar with. Like we watched them get recruited. We watched them come in. We've seen them. We've seen Harburg on the field. But we haven't seen him under this system, under this quarterback's coach, under this head coach. And the buzz has been about Heinrich Haarberg. All the size, all the athletic arrogance, all of the things that are required, the big arm, big playmaking arm, everybody gets excited. But the reality is we haven't seen him in full under this leadership and with these players around him. When you have a big arm quarterback, sometimes touch throws take a beating, and with small scat back receivers in the slots, the throws that you're asking him to make are different. There are guys that like to drop back and sling it downfield and make the big throws, and there are guys who like to make the touch throws. We will see. April 22nd, we'll see Haarberg and that other guy, Richard Torres, another big arm, supremely athletic young man. and we'll get our first look of them under Marcus Satterfield against live defense. Memorial Stadium, April 22nd. Gotta be fun. It's gotta be fun. Look, we like a little drama. We like a little chaos. To me, it sounds like competition. That's what we have. Again, thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. Your second for you everydayers, please jump over to Locked On the NFL Draft. Get your details. There's a lot of life-changing decisions are being made. Get your information. If you're doing your pool, this will help you with knowing who could go where, who could end up number one. We still don't know. All of that on Locked On NFL Draft, or on YouTube, or however else you consume your podcasts. Again, we close with the 3 words. April 22nd in a room full, in a sea full of red. Go Big Red.